Hello and welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Game. It has for the glove of the game, the glove of the game. Thank you so much for coming back. It has been a little bit, but we are so excited to be back. And I'll tell you who it's going to be in just a second. But first, I got to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Goals TV. This is the last episode to let you know that if you put your Goals TV username down below, you are entered into a giveaway to get whatever USL kit that you want. I know for me right now, here's a little IRL thing. I'm waiting to see this Birmingham Legion kit drop because, hey, I'm going to put my name down below. And if I win, that's what I'm getting. Or maybe you're interested in getting Charlotte Independence kit. That's called foreshadowing, people. And I just want to tell you, Goals TV is the ultimate destination for everything soccer. Like I said, if you put your name, your username down below, you're entered into winning this kit. So what is Goals TV? It's more than just a streaming platform. It's a community of passionate soccer fans united by their love for the game. Whether you're into tactical analysis, USL Championship match highlights, or compelling storytelling, Goals TV has something for you. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Goals TV right now or after this episode. Either one's fine. To sign up and enter for your chance to win a free jersey. Don't miss out on this chance to show your support for your club in style. And there are some good stuff out there. And speaking of some good stuff, what about some incredible goalkeeping? We've seen a lot of great goalkeepers stand on their heads throughout this year and last year. We've already made a bit of a path with some League One goalkeepers. Well, how about the GK1 for Charlotte Independence goalkeeping coach for Charlotte 49ers and a long history through the lower leagues, Mr. Austin Pack? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, doing super well, man. Hey, first off, congrats on getting through with the Open Cup. That was you just cannot stop saving penalties.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we can have some success in Atlanta in the upcoming game.
Hey, I mean, what a good opportunity for you guys. And you've been around the league for a while now. You've been to Kennesaw Stadium. You've played there. Obviously, that was not versus the senior team with Atlanta United, but that's a ground that you're pretty used to at this point as a longtime member of the USL.
Yeah, I've been just about everywhere now. I've seen just about every stadium there is in the lower leagues. So it's nothing new to go to Kennesaw. It's looking good. The grass looks good from what I saw in the game last night. So should be exciting.
So just kind of talking about your journey across soccer, right? Grew up in Alpharetta, so not far from Kennesaw itself. So you've been around the area. Are you going to have family in attendance for this one?
Oh yeah, when they announced the game, I think I had about 20 messages asking for tickets. So be about 40 people. Hopefully, if I can get all the tickets in line for them.
Hey, hopefully the independent faithful Macclesburg Reserve, I think is right. Hopefully they are out strong, but the pack is going to be out strong as well. So that's always exciting. But you were a part of some interesting teams. You were with Timbers too. You did the North Carolina Fusion, I think is what they're called now. You did that whole thing, do the PDL. But you were with one of the most interesting times, I think, of lower league soccer, which was NASL Puerto Rico FC, which, by the way, there were some players on that team. Is that the hottest place ever to play or what?
Yeah, that's definitely a home field advantage for them down in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, in the city, in the Caribbean. Some players came down and struggled on that field because of the heat, sometimes of the rain. It's a difficult place to play and to train.
So kind of some people that you have seen since then. Connor Doyle, you just or you guys haven't played Tormenta yet, have you?
Not yet, this Saturday.
This Saturday. So you're going to have a little Puerto Rico reunion. Is that always kind of fun? Like you're one of the few?
Yeah, there's a few of us still kicking around in the U.S., a couple back in Europe, a couple in South America, Central America. But it's always good to see Connor. Me and him are close friends, and we had a good time in Puerto Rico, and he's still doing his thing in the league, so it'd be good to play against him.
What I'm trying to think of the other ones off the top of my head. There's Famul Kavita, Yuma's still around,
Hmm.
Trevor Spangenberg's still around.
Yeah.
Um,
I
who
think
else
as
am I
far as
forgetting?
in the US, that might be it, still playing from that time, from the 16-17 season. There's a couple ones back in Switzerland, a couple guys in Greece, Spain, I think. So there's still a few playing.
So I kind of want to just talk about your journey because, like we talked about, you went to, pretty sure you went to Charlotte with the 49ers to college, right?
Yes.
So when you go from the high school rank and you go to college and you're also doing the PDL thing, now it's USL League Two. How big of a transition was that for you going from high school to college and then over the summers playing against people your age, but also some grown men who are just trying to stay in the game?
Yeah, it's a good experience. I think for the college guys in the summer, you have 2-3 months sometimes of downtime, and you got to keep ticking over and keep training. So I was lucky to play with what was Carolina Dynamo at the time. Mostly college guys, a few guys that were pushing into the USL, and a couple guys that were drafted and then finding their space. And then also, I went back some summers to play with the Atlanta Silverbacks of the NESL, which I came up playing with as a teenager. And then once to Miami-Dade FC was a really interesting experience down in Miami for a summer, which I think they were playing in something called the APL at the time. It was kind of the race to get a club in Miami before Miami had really established a real team. So I moved down there for a summer, and they had some real-time players there, older players. One came from Wolfsburg, a couple guys from Flamengo. It was a Brazilian-run team, and I think those experiences were really valuable for me to push forward going back to college. Came back a more developed player, learned a lot, take a little bit from each team that I played for, and was able to apply it to my game.
You kind of talked about silverbacks, and it just kind of that just jogged a whole bunch of memories for me. Just wondering, were you there at the same time as Joe Nesco?
I crossed over with Joe a little bit when I was maybe 15, 16 years old. I used to go out there. We had a goalkeeper coach, Gaucho, was a Brazilian guy that ran the goalkeepers at the Silverbacks. So Joe was there. A couple of really good goalkeepers were there in my time. I was just a 15, 16-year-old out there at practice in the morning trying to fight for my life and keep those guys happy, chasing balls and shagging balls that went over the crossbar and getting my reps where I could. It was one of the most valuable experiences for me coming up, training with those adults and learning the professional game at a young age.
Joe is one of those people that, being in Birmingham, he was with the Hammers for a while. So I talked to him there. He was with Birmingham Southern. I think he ended up at the Red Wolves as a goalkeeping coach for just a little bit. But you always just hear the most interesting stories about him. Just the whole being a sheriff thing was just one
Mm-hmm.
of the funniest things that happened. But you talk about being a young guy around the grown men, right? And you're trying not to make anybody mad. You're trying to learn while also trying to stay out of everybody's way. And when you do get reps, usually it's, shooting practice, which every goalkeeper absolutely loves. What what was that like, just being that young goalkeeper in those adult environments?
It was interesting. It was really challenging. I was 15, 16, 17 at the time, going out there. Guys are fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their paycheck. A lot of guys from Central America coming up. I mean, they're feeding their families off of this, and I'm just a kid in high school coming to train. So, and if anyone knows Silverbacks Park, it's a rough environment. It's hot. It's under an overpass. I used to go to practice every day. I'd get in the parking lot and be like, I just got to get through today. I got to get through today. The locker rooms were funny. A lot of good guys. A lot of good guys took care of me and really put me under their wing. But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. Learn how to deal with professionals, how to act around adults. I think my locker was a washer machine that I used to sit on while we watched film. So I was definitely at the bottom of the totem pole there. But it was such a great experience, and just learning with those guys and seeing what it is day in and day out, training with those guys in that environment was just definitely a trial by fire. while I was out there learning on the fly.
So now you're one of the guys that are teaching it, whether it be a goalkeeping coach or, being the senior member of a goalkeeping room, right? And the independents have their own academy system. So I don't know how much you guys overlap, but if any of the kids go out there, whether they're the ones that are throwing the ball in or, whether they're at practice, they're the ones that are picking up on you now. How did your time as a growing adult, as a kid at the time, shape the way that you do your goalkeeping training now at the university level, but also the way you interact with those academy kids?
Yeah, it's definitely wearing a bunch of different hats at the same time. Going to coach and going back to my old school with the same coach that I had when I was there. Um, Definitely trying to just pass on some experiences and try to navigate them, and hopefully they can have a better time than I did and learn from my mistakes in that aspect. And then we have the academy kids come up with the independents that come and train with us, and probably a similar experience that I had with the Silverbacks. It's nerve wracking, and it's a lot of work, and you're getting minimal reps. And the older guys, maybe when you're in the middle of the season and you're just trying to get through practice and get to the game, they kind of have to take a lot and take a lot of extra reps when it comes to shooting, or they got to tighten up when the service isn't right, and they hear it from me. And but they know maybe in sessions, maybe I'm not the most happy-go-lucky guy, but they know off the field that if they ever needed anything, that I'd help them out and that I'm someone they can come to.
The one thing that I've always heard from people who make it pro, and I've heard it from goalkeeping coaches and the guys who make it, if you don't have service, you'll never make it. If you
Yeah.
just cannot provide a ball.
Oh yeah. If you can be an asset in practice, even if you're fourth, fifth goalkeeper, if you're a guy that's like, oh, keep coming to practice, you're helping us, you're helping us. You can find a spot and you can keep training and learning. But yeah, that's something that people don't really talk about is, hey, maybe you're not getting the reps, but you're almost like a goalkeeper assistant when you're in the academy. You gotta go out there and help the coach out and serve the ball and do it right.
It was one of the things that really opened my eyes. There was a couple years ago, I was watching a friendly between Huntsville City and Birmingham Legion. And I can't remember who the goalkeeper was at the time, but it was a senior goalkeeper. And he was working with a young kid, maybe 15, 16 years old. He was the other goalkeeper on the bench. And his service just wasn't great. His half volleys were flying everywhere. He was putting them top corner. It was great finishes, but not what you want, right? And he took 10 minutes out of his warm up before a friendly, which friendlies are friendlies, but it's still competition, right? He took at that time out of his warm up just to show him how to give good service. And that was my first moment of this really is that important. That is how you make it.
Yeah, it's not going to work out if you can't help the other guys out. And everyone, it's a cliche now, but the goalkeeper union and trying to help each other out. And if you're blasting the ball over the bar or can't hit the volley right or can't get the passes right, um, you're just going to be asked not to come back, essentially. So if you can't help the starter out and you're not being valuable in that aspect, um, they'll find somebody that can.
That was one thing that has been a common thread on this show for the glove of the game has been not being GK1 because every professional at some point has been GK2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every single one. Obviously the top of the top end up getting a little bit more time, but everybody has to be number 2 at some point. Your job as a GK2 versus GK1, how different are those roles truly?
Oh, it might as well be two different sports essentially, because if you're goalkeeper one, you're starting week in and week out, and you have the trust of the team, and you're most likely going to play the bulk of the games. Your week looks way different than a second goalkeeper or third goalkeeper, and I've been there for years. I've been stuck on the bench for long periods of time, and you just you hate every time you don't play. You're stuck on the bench. It gets old so quick, and you still have to go to practice and give it your all and help the first goalkeeper get ready for the games. But on the flip side, when you're the second goalkeeper, you're training. Every training session is essentially your Champions League final. When you go to the shooting drills, you're giving it your all, showing your best. When you're doing small sided, you're trying to show everything you got, which is a lot different than a week in and week out starter, just trying to get your reps, keep it sharp, keep it fresh, and get out pretty quick.
It's always so interesting just to kind of hear how it all works, right? And a part of it, you mentioned the goalkeepers union, the GK union, very much just a real thing because you guys, like goalkeepers just in general, like they have their own part of their training session. They'll go by themselves for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time. And if there is any kind of bickering, if there is not just a even just at the least a professional work environment, but even just a friendship there, that training session becomes miserable. And GK2, GK3 just brought everybody down. Your goalkeeper one is not performing well because GK2 and GK3 came in with a bad, just a bad attitude and just drug everyone down, and training wasn't as good. And that's how quickly it can happen.
Yeah, it's a very fragile environment, and there's a lot of different emotions going on between 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, you have to be careful because essentially you're ripping balls at each other, and you can't have one guy messing the session up if the service goes bad, or it can really drag the session down pretty quick. But I've been in environments where sometimes maybe I'm the 2 or 3, and I'm not locked in, and the first guy or the second, the older guys get on me and say, "Hey, like we got a game Saturday. You need to do this right." And you learn quick, and you see it for what it is. And then as a starter, trying to nurture an environment that say, "Hey, we're going to get our work done, but we're all here together. We're all working towards a common goal." And things happen pretty fast. The two can become the one, flip flop, and you got to stay kind of on the same path together throughout 30, 40 games in a season.
Let's kind of talk about the tools of the trade a little bit. Let's talk about your gloves. So, is there a brand that you rock with?
Right now, the last 3, 4 seasons, I've been with HO Soccer. My guy Christian down in Florida, he's grown the North American brand, the chapter of the brand here in the U.S. pretty fast. He's got a few MLS guys, a few USL guys, and myself. They take care of me. Really good brand, really good club.
So, when we're talking about HO Soccer, what about them is what you trust? Why is there a certain cut? Is it a certain fit? Is it a certain part of the latex that just really has your full trust in them?
Yeah, as the years gone by, I think the latex is probably, as goalkeeper gloves have gone, it's kind of not too much innovation. It's almost the same year in, year out, and I just try to find something that works for me. I know the younger kids like to wear like the skinnier gloves or the strapless gloves had a moment, but yeah, I just wear a super classic, what was a roll finger, and I think most brands have transitioned to a hybrid roll. Um, but yeah, I like a kind of more of an old school glove, maybe a little bit of a bigger glove. The skinny ones don't really work for me too well. My fingers have been through too much trauma. So the more bulk in a glove I can get, the better. But HO's done a really good job. They have a lot of variety. In the start, they sent me all their models. I picked one, and year to year, they obviously have their new range. But that hybrid roll, all white, is what I've been rocking for the most part. And when it's working, I try not to change it. I don't even like to change the color. Like when I'm rolling, just I know that I got the same glove lined up for the season, as many pairs as they send me, and I try to keep it pretty consistent.
I mean, you say keep it old school, and then you say the all white. I mean, that is just man. You said the whole lot of trauma. I'm guessing finger saves are in. You're with the finger saves.
I haven't had too much comfort with the finger saves, but my fingers are taped up underneath. So there's no finger saves in mine, no protection in mine, but they are pretty hefty glove, thick latex, thick backhand, and then yeah, they're taped up.
Which fingers do you go for?
All my fingers and my wrist, except for the thumb and middle finger, don't get taped. But yeah, pinky on both sides are pretty jacked up. Ring finger on both sides pretty jacked up. Index just for some extra support. Yeah, and the wrists are always taped every session, every game. It's the same tape job for the last maybe 8 years.
I think I've said on every single episode of these now, but it's always my right pinky. That's the only one that goes for me. No other finger has dealt with it, just the right pinky, and I don't know why. It's made me really mad. So that's the only one I tape.
Yeah, you got out lucky. I feel like once you do one, that same one is gonna keep bothering you. So you got to tape it every single time.
How do you take care of your gloves? Do you have any kind of rituals, any specific routines that you have?
I just try to cycle through them pretty consistently. HO takes care of me, and I have a pretty large selection, so I might like get 2 or 3 games out of a game glove, and then if I'm lucky, I'll get a fourth one. But I'm pretty much a princess when it comes to the gloves. I like a newer. If I could wear a new pair every single game, wear them one practice before the game, wear them in the game, make them a practice glove for the next week, I would. But usually it's a 2 or 3 week cycle. When I was younger, washing them and keeping them in the bag and making sure they weren't torn up too much. But nowadays I try to get 2 or 3 games out of them. I think most goalkeepers do the same. Their game gloves become kind of the practice glove for the next cycle. The new ones come out the bag. There's a break-in period for about a session or two. Wipe them down, and they're pretty good to go for the game.
How particular are you about the wrap on it? Are you picking every little bit of it off, or do you not care?
Luckily with HO, they don't come with the wrap. The wrap is a headache. I know it protects the glove. But wow, I think when I was with Adidas in Portland, I'd take like an hour before practice to get that plastic off, and then around the edge, it's still there. And then I'm picking at it, and I'm like, get this off. It's always a headache.
Man, maybe I need to look into HO because I can't stand a little bit. I will just go until all of it's off, and it takes me hours, and it's just a headache. Maybe I just need to look at HO.
Oh yeah, and I'll be picking it off, and then I'll end up like taking a chunk out of the latex in the process. I'm like, oh my god, I'm tearing up a brand new pair of gloves just to get them out the wrapper.
Oh man. Well, look, let's go ahead and get into some game film. And if this is your first time watching for the glove of the game, what we end up doing is we take game film and we talk about every single touch. Now, a little transparency here. Around the 38th minute, some of my files corrupted. I think I only missed one touch of Austin's. And then at the very end, there's like 4 goal kicks. They were the same goal kick. You don't need to watch it that many times. You can go watch the last 10 minutes. That's a little transparency, but we're going to get into it. And where you had, I think, Team of the Week honors in this one, and this was a fantastic game by you. So let's just go ahead, hop in. So I'm just getting the kickoff real fast. But your first play on the ball was 3 minutes in, just a save to your feet. And I'm going to let this play so we can see just kind of the pass out, but we'll kind of go back and watch it. Goes over to your right back, which he plays it long. But I want to just kind of talk about your first interaction on the ball, having to be a save. And it's coming off of the grass, so it's not clean in the air. You're having to read the turf. What are you looking for when you're seeing him wind up for the shot?
Yeah, it's about 2-3 minutes in, and he gets a decent look from about 19 yards out. Just skips into me. It's a good moment to kind of just get a first easy save in. Is always nice. Just get a clean catch and a clean distribution for the first minute and kind of settle into the game is always like a dream scenario for a goalkeeper. It's just like, okay, let's get a quick pickup, quick distribution, and kind of settle into the game. Yeah, it's good to just get your first touches out of the way.
This one you end up just rolling it to your right back, and it kind of goes from there. This next one, I have a big question about this one. This particular goal kick has become very popular. If you're someone who's just listening, it is the center back taking it and passing it over to the goalkeeper. And from here, you get it and you play it just simply up the middle. what's the advantage of doing it that way of the center back to goalkeeper as opposed to just your standard keeper to center back out?
Yeah, just depending on what kind of front formation they're playing, whether it's one striker, three strikers, kind of, or a striker and two midfielders pushed all the way up on the goal kick, just getting the first look to start the game. It's always nice. Yeah, it's popular now to have two center backs kind of in the six, roll it to the goalkeeper. It kind of frees it in that scenario. There's two forwards there trying to cut the play and press a little bit, but when it comes across, it freezes the two attacking players for a moment. It allows the team to rotate a little bit, and you can see there it's easy roll to my six, rather than setting it up and kind of being in a stationary position. Boom, you play it to your center back, and the opposing team can kind of force the ball to one side. Having it played into the center from the center back to the goalkeeper just opens up options, freezes the forwards for a moment, allows the midfield to kind of rotate through and find a pocket to receive the ball.
Next up, you have an early free kick. You had to deal with a lot of these in this match. And this one's in an interesting area where it's not unreasonable to see a shot, but it's more likely that you're going to see a cross into the box. Why did you only go with the two-man wall? And what are you looking for in this? As in, which is it going to be in swing, out swing, shot, or cross?
Yeah, so in this spot, essentially, it's about, I don't know, 20, 22, 23 yards out on an angle. It'd be pretty ambitious to shoot from here. I mean, even if they did, you could probably, if you're on the line and they're shooting from that distance on that angle, you'd kind of bet on yourself to make a save, even if there wasn't a wall. So essentially, two guys over the ball. You're gonna put two guys in the wall just to so it doesn't get rolled easy, and it's a 2v1 situation, and they're in the box. So the two guys in the wall protecting the front post as always, but essentially they're more there for anything rather than they're gonna play short, slip it down the side. One can break off one side or the other to cut the cross. So they're there for that. They're blocking a little bit of the goal, but I'm not anticipating a shot too much there. I'm obviously on the line, and you can kind of see it's going to be an in swinger or an out swinger, depending on who takes it. Trying to be on the front foot as much as I can to cut out anything into the six, and I don't think the ball goes into the range that I can go get it, drop back on the line.
Yeah, so this one ends up being the out swinging, I do believe. And it kind of goes, or sorry, in swing. And it goes just outside the six and a good header out by Hugh Roberts, which I want to ask you about him in just a minute. But this one starts the other way. This is what we are standard to seeing in most goal kicks, where you play it straight out to your center back and the guy's right on him. Kind of like you mentioned earlier, it didn't really freeze him, but the ball comes straight back to you. Why did as a team did you decide to go with the out back in as opposed to doing what you just did earlier with set it down, play it back to you immediately?
Yeah, just trying to mix it up and get a couple different looks and make the forwards think a little bit. It goes out to Nick and comes back to me. The forward goes to press Nick. It comes back to me, and he's got to run a good distance. So just kind of messing with them, having to run around a little bit, giving them different looks, keeping them guessing a little bit.
And then I do believe this is the pass that went just a little bit wayward on you, and it comes up just a little bit short. Getting yourself, when you have a bit of a small passing mistake like that, it's really easy to let it, kind of fluster you just a little bit. What are you doing at that point just to be like, I can still hit a ball, it's like do it how I want?
Yeah, the ball kind of checked up on the field a little bit, and I've played at Memorial probably more than anybody else professionally there is. So I know the stadium in and out, and just didn't really punch that one in. It kind of just dragged on the grass a little bit. I still think it was a moment to play, just execution. wasn't there, just didn't roll as quick as I wanted. He gets pressed. They battle for it, and Greenville end up winning winning possession. But at that point, we've got 5 guys behind the ball. We're a team that reasonably plays out the back. Just trying not we're not an identity where we're trying to build out of anything at any cost. We're trying to get results, and we're trying to do what's best to just get results. So we want to play out the back where we can. The next one, I know, hey, hit it a little bit harder. I trust the guys to collapse in, make tackles and make blocks, so it's not going to be a situation where, like, hey, we're never doing that again. No, we set up the same way, and we try to execute a little bit better.
This next one is just a long ball that just ends up to you, and you just played over to Hugh, which I just kind of want to talk about Hugh Roberts as this it plays on just a little bit. Most minutes in the USL ever. He is a living legend. What's it like having someone like that powering your back line?
Oh yeah, he's a big addition to the back line this year, and we played together in 21 in the championship for probably 25 consecutive games, I'd say. So we know each other really well. He has some unbelievable attributes. His aerial threat is probably the best in the league. He's so dominant in the air. He's long, he's tall, he's athletic. So it really makes it my life easy, especially on set pieces, corners, crosses, etc. I just know he's going to get up there. He's going to get ahead on it. So it makes my life a little bit easier.
Earlier, you talked about getting the team to trust you, and that's part of being GK1. One thing that we talked about with, oh my gosh, Jake McGuire, was this concept of like kind of passing on the pressure. And your fullback here gets a little bit under pressure, and you're getting straight right away. In order for you to get this ball, they have to trust you. What are you looking for here? Is how many touches are you willing to take? And, is there anything in particular that you're trying to play to other than just away?
Yeah, I get the back passes. I think it's still really early in the game, so the game hasn't really settled yet. You see most games, first 5-10 minutes of each half, it's a little bit of a ping pong match, and most teams will try to just put the team on the back foot and play long until the game settles. So I get it here. Hugh's in a place where he's playing. We're in a back three, so I don't have too much space. The forward comes from my right side, kind of cuts off anything to play the other side of the field. So then I'm just trying to help the ball on, try to take a clean touch out of my feet, try to play it in 2 touches, and drive it up the field for my forwards and midfielders to flick it on.
Perfect. All right, this one, you get one straight back, and I see Hugh immediately pointed, by the way, which I thought was just really interesting, just kind of telling you where some options were. But you allow the pressure to come in before you go in long. And I noticed you did this a lot in this game in particular. Are you trying to invite the pressure before you, send it forward? Or is that like a trigger that you're waiting for? Or is it just there's something down the field that you are waiting to see?
No, similar situation. I think it's right after the last one. So we're still early in the game. We're still looking to kind of put them on the back foot and turn their back line around a little bit. The forward did a good job to cut Hugh off. If the center back's open as fast as they can, which Hugh did a really good job to run back and give me an option, but he comes again and cuts off the right hand side. Our Nick on the left side's a little bit squeezed. So yeah, we're just helping the ball on in the first 10 minutes and trying to get their defenders facing their own goal.
Gotcha. This next one, Tyler Pollock sends it out to you. You just get it, and I really don't remember what happens here. You do that a couple times. You do the pump fake, and I was going to mention this before, where you act like you're going to roll it, and then you stop. And there's been a couple times where you put it at your feet, and there were other times. Is there a certain trigger that you're looking for on that, or is it just a pump fake?
I'm looking for any options to get the ball down. Always the center backs are going to be my first option if they have a lot of time and space, and a lot of times a forward is going to be halfway thinking you're going to put the ball down, halfway thinking you're going to roll it out. Just a little bit of a look, even if it's with your eyes, or a little bit like you're going to roll it, is going to drop that forward back, even if it's one step. it's just going to buy you a little bit more time and a little bit more space to kind of roll the ball down and play out.
Gotcha. And then this is another one where they took a step forward, and that one didn't quite end up where you wanted it, but it kind of is what it is. We are into the penalty now, and we kind of mentioned that you just cannot stop saving penalties. And I want to talk about your penalty kind of mentality. But let's just kind of watch this first. You are just low watching, and you go the right way, strong palm. Jamie Smith gets on the end of it, but cannot put it on target. Just really good defensive work on the cleanup. But McKinnon's a guy who's been absolutely on fire. Obviously, if there's something you have on him, like any kind of film or anything like that, you don't have to share that. But what's just your general mentality when it comes to being in the penalty situation and just kind of general scouting that you do to figure out where am I going?
Yeah, I think the last year I switched up a little bit in my approach to scouting the penalties and didn't have the greatest stats and penalties last year. I think we barely made it through Omaha, didn't save any, but we had one miss. And then obviously in the final, I think they went 5 for 5 to win it at NCFC. But this year just changed up my strategy a little bit, kind of went back to basics and just stood in there, short run up, just try to read them. And wasn't the perfect penalty. Kind of got under it, put it in a good space for me to save it. I went the right way and was able to get a hand to it.
So for you, obviously, if this was a scouting thing on what you did, that's fair. But is there anything that you're looking for in the run up, or are you just trusting your research?
These days, you can go back and look at these guys' penalties and from when they were in high school. They got film on on everything. And I think sometimes that can be detrimental because you're in your own head thinking, last time he went this way, this time he went that way, and last game he went the way he doesn't usually go. And does he know that I know that he knows? You know what I'm saying? Just kind of taking all that variable out of it. Obviously, you see some of their penalties, you know their tendencies, but just trying to read a run up, trying to trust your gut on the penalties and make the right guess.
Is there any particular reason why you're as low as you are and not doing the big arms and side to side thing? Is there any reason why you are so low and just so still?
Yeah, every goalkeeper has their own thing. You see Emi Martinez acting crazy, Noah Guzman pulling string out of his mouth and whatever he does, and yeah, you see, my game isn't like huge and flamboyant. I just try to stand in there, focus, have myself set, and with the new rules, try not to jump too early. So yeah, I'm just low, set, trying to focus on the run up, focus on him striking the ball and trying to read it.
I have just a quick question, and this is going to come up a few times, but just wondering on in swinging corners. Obviously, there's different ideas on this, and you will see where they put it, right? But I know you'll see a lot of goalkeeping coaches and just coaches who maybe don't know much about goalkeeping. Just be like, if it's in your six, you catch it. If it's in your six, punch it or catch it. And there's a couple of these that were in that area that you didn't quite get to. Like this one's on the top of the box. I think there's a lot of coaches, younger coaches, that would say, that's yours. You got to get it. Why did you not?
Yeah, there's a million variables that go into every service, and where you set on an in swinger versus out swinger is a pretty small difference, but it is a difference. So on an in swinger, I'm usually slightly closer to my line, and the way, even in League One, that professionals hit the ball now with the amount of whip on it and their service, they make it difficult, and you can get caught out pretty quick on trying to go punch a ball that's not yours or try to claim something that's not yours. And that's a pretty big mistake if you come flying out and miss it. But like I said before, we got Hugh in there. He's 6'3", 6'4". I know he's gonna challenge for it. We got a lot of numbers in the box, and I trust them to do their thing. And if it's a real floated ball, or if it's something that I can come help them out with, I will. But if it's got enough whip on it, they're probably going to pin me to my line, and I'm just going to have to resort to trying to stay in my line and make a reaction save.
This is another one of the goal kicks that comes back to you, and forwards are cutting off the two immediate center back options. And so before you went to your six, this time you decided to go long, and they get a good flick on it and immediately start to counterattack. Was there something that you saw in this particular one that you went long, or was it just kind of trusting that your guy could get ahead on it?
No, that one came off my foot pretty clean. The center mids kind of learned from the last one to push on to R6. So I think it's Bashir in there is getting cut off. It would have to be a pretty perfect pass for him to get it, and then his only option really would be to play it out to our Clay playing right back there, or he's technically right center back of a three. He's it's pretty tight, maybe a moment to play out, but we had some success last year with Flick and second man running, and Joel's done a lot of good work with that. A lot of times it's the right mid coming, checking in around the halfway line. If it's a low ball and he can kind of get in between the outside back and the ball, he can hold it up. Or if it's floated, we always have one or two guys running in behind. So that's my target. I was trying to hit him on the flick. We had the runner in behind, and it worked out perfectly.
I just now noticed they have Spokane as your opponent, not Greenville, on the keys to the game. So that's funny. So this next one kind of comes through, just an easy ball to your hand, shielded away. Pretty simple on how you deal with this one. And you immediately just switch the point of attack. Pretty standard goalkeeping stuff there. Another goal kick where it comes back to you. This time you won't get pressed by one. The other one is Jamie Smith just kind of holding the center. You go to Hugh. That one seemed pretty simple to me. You said earlier you're always going to go to your center back if you can, and they didn't press them, so you went to your center back.
Yeah, that's just giving them a different look. Like I said, we played one straight from me. We played one where I got it from the center back. I played one where I got it into the six, and they turned. So they're problem solving on the fly. And in that moment, whether the forward was tired or said, hey, we can't let their center mids get on the ball and turn and run at us, he dropped back in, makes my life easy, roll it out to my other center back, and job done on that one.
On this one, there was an offside call, and this is the first time that we've immediately, and this is a little farther up. I say a little bit. It's like 20 yards farther up, but good. You decide just to go long, and that's what you do. Is it because you're a little bit farther that you felt like you could immediately get another flick on, or was it just like this is just a chance to go?
Yeah, I think we had some success in the air against them. We've got some big guys, and we've got some guys that are comfortable in the air. I think we're about 35 minutes in at that point, and a lot of times it's, hey, let's get up and in. Let's not play around too much. I know I always have conversations with them throughout the game. Say, hey, how are we feeling physically? Do we need to slow it down? Do we need to get it out and play fast, or should we just walk it up and in and catch our breath? I think everyone that's played at Memorial knows the field is huge. Guys are covering a lot of ground. It can be pretty tiring pretty quick. So maybe in that moment, we might have been absorbing a lot of pressure. They might have been pushed up the field, and just mixing it up again and saying, hey, let's get up and in. They're pushed up. It's not on. Let's get up the field.
Gotcha. This is another goal kick that you have that you play out. This is the second time we've seen this kind of goal kick. And I think what you mentioned is giving different looks. One thing that I saw immediately on this is when you played it out, you have, I believe that's McKinnon, going to immediately cut you off as an option, leaving your fullback wide open. So I guess that's why you do all the different looks throughout. So that's so much to think about, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we go back out to Nick, who's super comfortable with his feet. We have the left back out on the line. And, yeah, trying to get it down quick, trying to push the pace of the game a little bit at home. Just get the ball down, get it to their feet, and see if we can build out.
From here, there is a ball that comes to the front post that you kind of it looks awkward on video. And what I'm wondering, because this one goes to the top of the box, a good header on. What kind of happened here? Obviously, a save's a save, but it felt like you kind of got a little wrong-footed. What kind of happened on this one?
Yeah, they get a good header across the box. I just try to get into my spot, get set as soon as I can, and then every surface is different. Every game is different. The turf at Memorial, the ball tends to check up quite a bit. So he heads it down into the ground with a little bit of topspin on it, I believe. So I know it's kind of going to spin off the turf a little bit. Maybe on natural surface or like on a wet turf, that ball might just skip in and it might be a more conventional save. But it looks like I almost have to wait for the ball. I know it's in a range that I can save it, but it's almost just waiting for it to hit the turf because I know it's going to check up awkwardly. So it looks awkward because it's like top spin into the turf, maybe on a natural surface, it's going to skip hard into the goal, and I'd be like kind of a conventional dive with two hands to push it wide. But I almost have to check, wait, see how it's going to come off the turf. It bounces pretty high, and I'm able to push it wide.
I mean, yeah, it looks weird, but hearing it explained like that, it's like, oh, duh, that seems so obvious now. This is a high one to the back stick. Good header on. You just kind of get rid of the danger. Don't take any chances. Anything that you particularly saw on that corner?
No, could go either way. Might bounce off the top of the crossbar. I just don't want it to bounce back into play. So I can see that it's a long one to the back post. They're looking to play it back across. He doesn't get the header that he wants, but just jump, easy tip over the bar and live to see another day.
And then the next corner that comes through. This one's to the top of the box, dealt really well by your defenders, but it stays with McKinnon, where a second service comes in, and it's a kind of an overhead kick right into your chest. That's what ends the half. Just stay on the line, see what happens.
Yeah, they started to stack a lot of guys in front of me, which is always an interesting situation on the corners where you've got 4 or 5 bodies and then your own defenders all stacked in the goal mouth, and just trying to stay in there and make a play on a ball. If it's there, it bounces around. We do really well to kind of stay with the second ball, stay with our runners. He has an ambitious look at goal. Again, it comes up off the turf, I think. I have to wait for it. And I know that's the end of the half, so just gather it up, and they blow the whistle for the half.
So at that point, you had already seen 3 shots, one of those being a penalty. And while you guys have had more of the possession, it felt like a lot of the possession that was coming at you, counterattacking wise, was just super fast, always in danger. McKinnon was running up and down the wings because that's kind of what he does. So you guys, not on the back foot, but it was definitely feeling like it was still going to be a little bit of a hectic match going forward. We're about to get into the second half in just one moment. How long did I make this halftime screen? There we go. I cut the other one out, but this is the second time. This was 57 minutes into the game, and this is the second time that we've seen this particular free kick routine by them, where I believe it's Jamie Smith runs over the ball and becomes an option, just also to try to screen you a little bit, and he puts it in. When you see him go out wide, are you immediately telling your one-man wall just to follow, or is it just stay ground?
Yeah, especially from that far out, the one-man wall is really only there for the short ball. They're not really blocking the goal. They're in position to block a shot, but they're there for that runner. So he knows, and I'm yelling at him to follow that runner so they don't kind of get it wide and have a better angle for the service. He does a good job to run with them, and then the free kick, he doesn't get the whip that he wants on it. Kind of just floats it straight into me. I know at that point it should be an easy claim. I know that it's going to be 1 runner, 2 runners coming at me. Any contact's going to be a foul. So easy claim straight into my hands.
Gotcha. And I think this is another one of your pump fakes, I do believe. Oh, no, you just went straight out to your right back. And this one from the TV angle looks like it looks like a terrifying throw. It looks horrible from just this angle. Was there more space here than the TV showing us?
Yeah, they weren't too much of a threat to cut that out. I know that Joel's there, and they've got all their numbers up. So if we can go quick and catch them down the opposite side, their whole team's got to run 80 yards back to get in position. So if we can go quick and get down the opposite side, they're not going to be setting their block in time, and we might have a good look.
Now we're to another free kick, and this one's a lot closer to the goal, but it's still at that angle. When you're looking at, right footer, left footer from a shooting position, and they are both standing over the ball, how are you choosing where to put your wall? I know it's just a couple of inches different this way, that way, or are you someone that just says it doesn't matter either side, set it, forget it?
I set it almost nearly exactly the same on the second guy on the outside of the wall, but you got to know that there's a left footer out there that could whip it on my right-hand side of the wall around that side. So you got to cover for that. And then obviously the right footer can go over the wall or goalkeeper side. So you just got to be able to cover that near post with your outside of the wall enough to kind of block the left-footed shot whip around the wall, which would be a nightmare if they were to be able to Roberto Carlos it or something around that outside of the wall. But you want a good body length covering that near post on the outside.
And I think this one was Pollock that took it. No, it was not. But straight into your hands, real easy for you to deal with. You kind of just lay there, let everybody kind of clear out. There was a little pump fake. That was one of the ones that I was talking about. You're waiting for everybody to get up. So at that point, because you guys are in the lead, this is not like I'm saying that you're getting involved in the dark arts. That's not what I mean. But whenever you are winning, don't deal with the damage near your goal. So is that just kind of what you're thinking at this point? We're up, get it out.
Yeah, I make the save. I know that we're just trying to catch our breath from that. We survived that one. I get the ball. I'm laying on the ground, taking a peek, seeing if there's anything quick, any outside backs or outside mids that might be 1v1 or get up quick and play quick. I don't see anything. The two forwards are pushed up. The outside backs are covered. I'm not seeing any throws. I'm not seeing any rolls that are available. I say, okay, we get up the field, and I'll kick it up the field.
And that you do. Get it over the line. Almost get a good flick on there. It almost worked out really, really well. I believe that's Nick gets this ball back to you onto your foot, and you're getting pressed like crazy. You go long. Obviously, you don't have a passing option there. That is a center back. That is not just passing on danger and being, just an absolute nightmare decision. But is there anything besides, I know my guys can win in the midfield that you're seeing here?
Yeah, I get the ball pretty far outside the goal on the edge of the 18, and my first option would be to open up and play a right center back or right back. The forwards did a really good job of cutting that off. Hughes kind of cut off on the angle, and he's pressing pretty quick. So I see Anton on the line and just kind of battling for second balls, whether it's the flick. We have a big emphasis on once we get up the field, you jump with it, you try to make contact with it, but it's really for the second ball to see if we can pick up possession higher up the field.
Gotcha. And it does. I mean, you get a good flick on, and really nice one. This is just another ball. I think this one was offsides that you go long with, which became kind of the story of the second half after the lead of not a whole lot of playing it short. Everything was kind of going long. This is another diagonal ball. Greenville played a ton of these diagonal balls throughout the game. This one goes to the top of the box, gets to the top here, and in swing in, you come to claim. What did you see here for you to come straight out as opposed to before where we've seen your center backs just deal with it? What did you see? Did you call for it, or was it just something that you saw real fast as like, I'm getting this?
Yeah, they played a lot of those diagonal balls. They're down a goal. They're pushing numbers forward and trying to get behind us. So they do a good job. They play it long on the diag. They pick it up. I see him cut back. I think it's onto his right foot. I just take a quick peek. I'm always trying to see where the runners are, I see there's 2 in the box, kind of one real threat, and the service was close enough for me. I was on the front foot. I see it's a little bit too high for the front post guy, and kind of got an early call, an early read on the cross where I was able to come claim it.
Gotcha. There was one of the pump fakes again. Just roll this one out to your center back. Like you said, that's where you were kind of looking. This was the beginning of the 5 goal kicks that I kind of cut out. This one just goes long because that's what you did at the end of this game. Here is a goal kick. Eventually it'll be played, I hope. Or no, this is a long throw. And this one's interesting. You don't deal with a lot of long throw specialists in the league. When you know you have a guy who can throw it on top of the 6, what are you telling your center backs? Are you telling them to stay right on that corner and do not move no matter wherever the other runner goes? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, there's a few long throw guys around the league that we scout and we look at before the game, and it's a big asset for teams that's kind of lost in the last couple of years. But these long throws are a nightmare to deal with. They come in on the weirdest angles with the weirdest spin, and they could end up short. They could end up long. They're looking to flick it. They're looking to knock it down, and there's no offside, so they can put a guy on the byline. And it's kind of a nightmare situation with long throws. So sometimes you try to bait them. You stand out there and say, throw it there, I'll come catch it, and then drop early, just depending on how it comes off. So you're trying to just match up. You're trying to get front and back with all their attacking players. So you have somebody on their toes, somebody behind them if you can, kind of all in a flat line. So it'd be like one behind their forward, one in front, their next forward, one in front of him. So just trying to, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be bouncing around, flicks. It's long throws are the worst.
And that's why, it's just an absolute weapon if you have one. Golly, you just don't see many guys that can just throw it like that. You guys end up getting a goal kick out of it eventually. And where normally you would probably play it to your left back, you tell him to push up and you go long with it. Obviously, there was a player there that eventually kind of went to cover him, but he wasn't always there on this one. I don't think he could have gotten there if you played it fast. Is there any reason why you didn't play it to him?
Yeah, just trying to manage the game and see where we're at and see what the pressure is. And at this moment, we've got 14 minutes left. He could have really checked back in and got the ball, but in that scenario, probably he's going to resort to hitting it long once he gets it, maybe off balance. So I chose to just push it up and in. We buy a little bit of clock. We get it up. And, a lot of long balls in this game early in the year, just trying to manage to get some points. Especially this is our 3rd game of the season or something. So we're really trying to hang on to our lead, and the field's huge and we're trying to launch it down the field. It's not the funnest thing to watch, but we're trying to just get the job done.
Now, I am not going to full on say that you're committing to the dark arts here, but just running over the ball. Are you looking for anything, or are you buying yourself a couple seconds?
Maybe half and half. I was thinking maybe I can get a quick switch out, but he's not wide enough really for the best angle to get it out to him. We've got 7 minutes left in the game. Just trying to shave some seconds off. I think in reality, maybe it buys you 2 seconds or something, but just ran over it, buy a little bit of time, let everyone get up a little bit tighter, and then play it up the field.
Pollock stands over this ball and puts in something that kind of to the back post that they're going to look to just kind of flick on. Doesn't really happen. Stuff like this when it's the end of the game. And obviously nothing came of this. But when they are going to put as many bodies as they can forward, what are you talking to your back line about? Are you just trying to manage this load of mess? Are you calling out to someone like Hugh or Nick or anybody like that? Like, you manage this, I will get the goal. Like, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, the guys, they know their assignments on the marks. They've got 9 players in the box, I think, or 8 players in the box, one taking it and one short. So there's a lot of bodies in there. just trying to make sure everyone's matched up. They do a really good job of getting to their marks quick. In this scenario, you might have one or two free guys, maybe one free guy, depending on the situation. And at that point, you got to make kind of in time decisions and say, hey, leave the shortest guy. He's the least threat. We'll take that. And just trying to hold that line, win the header, win flick balls, and then get back up.
Yeah, I mean, that is just a massive horde of humans. Just so many. This is the last kick of the game, and that's where they blow the whistle, and you guys walk out with 3 points. Anytime that you can get a penalty save, a couple of easy saves, and I mean, the one we talked about it ad nauseum a bit, but the one that just had the top spin on it that you just read and you were having to wait on it, I mean, that is a dang good day at the office.
Yeah, it was a solid day against Greenville, who gave us a lot of trouble, and maybe I didn't have my best performances against last year. Played them in the playoffs in the first round and didn't have my best game, and then had one game against them where I was injured and came off at halftime, I think. So it's definitely one of the top teams to play against. Geographically, they're the closest, so it's always a rivalry. We know each other well. Take 3 points, kind of weathered the storm in the first 20 minutes. They get the penalty, was lucky to make the save, and then make a couple other saves in that first half. And then second half was essentially just managing the game, just trying to get up the field, buy some time, let the guys catch their breath to kind of go again and absorb another wave of pressure. But not too many chances in the second half. Get the saves done in the first half. Not too many clean looks for them in the second half, and you walk away with a penalty save and a clean sheet, and you can't really complain.
When we are looking ahead now, you guys end up you've played against Knoxville, you've played against Spokane, you've played against Greenville, you've played against Omaha. You have played against the 3 heavy hitters already this year. I think if you were to take a poll and say who are the best 4 teams in the league in League One, that might be the top 5, top 6. Knowing that you kind of got through that slog of a schedule with only one true blemish, what are you looking at for the upcoming season? How much confidence do the boys have right now?
Yeah, it's a ton of confidence to get some points early in the season, and the points are massive because I think it's only 22 games that count for the regular season, and then the 12 or 10 cup games that we have go into a different pool. So yeah, Omaha away was a huge one to get 0-0, kind of another just sloppy, ugly battle on the tiny field, no space to play, wind whipping, baseball field. So that's always if you can get out with a point at Omaha, I think you would take that. But across the league, all 12 teams historically, it's such a tight table that every team is essentially can win on their day, especially on the road. Even if you're playing the 12th place team, there's not a huge difference from the first place team to the 12th place team in this league. It's very even historically to get into playoffs. It's super tight. So every game is essentially the same. You're playing against another League One team with really good players, and we just try to take it one game at a time. But with the four games going into it, including the Open Cup games, we take a lot of confidence. I think the team is in a really good spot. Guys coming back from injury is just getting better, so hopefully we can keep it rolling.
So I think your next game is a Jägermeister Cup match.
Right.
Is there any bottles waiting for you if you win, or has there been talks about that? Like, what's going on with that?
That's the thing. I thought if you win, you get a case of it. I don't know. They haven't told us yet. There's got to be some sort of prize at the end. But yeah, the cup games will be interesting. They will be interesting. It's a new format, and I think there's penalties after 90 minutes if you're tied. So it's going to add a lot of drama to the league and a lot of more meaningful games, I think, throughout the season.
As a keeper who just made it out of penalties versus Rhode Island, which we didn't really talk about that match too much. I mean, just an absolute insane match. Does it feel if the match does come down to penalties? Let's hope you guys are winning by 100. But if it does come down to penalties, does it fill you with a little bit of more confidence knowing that you just walked out of one pretty recently with a win?
Yeah, taking the experience from the kicks always is good. I think last year the penalties in the semifinal and the final are something that I keep with me, and I think the more you do them, the more comfortable you feel. It's not often that you go to penalty shootouts, but with the format this year, you could see a lot of them. So you just keep building on it, and the guys are comfortable, but it adds a different dynamic for the takers because you might have taken penalties in the Open Cup and then in the Jägermeister and then the next week. So guys are going to change it up. Guys are going to do different things. You're going to see people go down the middle. You're going to see chips. You're going to see all sorts of stuff. So it could get pretty crazy with the penalties if it's somebody's sixth penalty of the year that they're taking already. So people are going to be switching up. There's going to be a lot of head games with it, and just trying to stay in there and make saves will be interesting.
All right, I got two last questions for you before I let you go. First things first, we have a lot of young goalkeepers who like to watch this to know what a professional goalkeeper thinks when they're watching film. What did they see? How did they notice that in real time? For young goalkeepers, what is something that you know now as a professional keeper and goalkeeping coach that you desperately wish you would have known back then?
Just managing your own emotions in the game. I think anyone that watches me play, you kind of see that it's pretty calm, it's pretty collected. There's not a whole lot of jumping around and screaming and all sorts of stuff. I just try to, something that I learned maybe later down the line rather than when I was in academy or coming up, is you got to really chunk the game up. You really got to take each play as a singular. And okay, you make a big save in a moment, you can't let it go into the next play, or if you make a mistake, you can't let it go into the next play. And just working on different techniques to reset yourself every single time. You just got to be good in your moment. Boom, that's one done. And then breathe, take a second, recollect, and do it again. Whether it's a mistake or an amazing save, it's just that one singular moment. And I kind of chunk the games up in 5-minute increments and then singular moments, and just have it be one singular moment, not playing the span of a game with emotion, trying to say, okay, I'm having a really bad game. I'm frustrated. I'm flustered. No, okay. If it's a mistake, a missed kick, a goal, whatever it is, you have your techniques to reset, to breathe, to go again, and just take everything at one chunk at a time rather than a continuous 90 minutes.
And the last thing, most of the people that are going to watch this, just by the nature of interviews, are going to be a lot of Charlotte fans. What is there anything that you want to specifically tell to the Independence faithful?
Yeah, they've been awesome so far. I think we had some really good turnouts with 4,000, 5,000 guys coming out there. The Mex reserves and all the other guys are really an asset to us. They mean everything to us. Hopefully they travel down to Atlanta for us. And yeah, we really appreciate them coming to the games. They come out. The stadium might not look super full at times, but trust me, they're loud. They got the drums out there. And we really do it. We do it for them. We do it for our ownership group. And the support really means a lot to us.
Well, I really appreciate you for your time, Austin. And we all appreciate you for listening. And hey, like we mentioned, check out Goals TV. Get yourself a free kit. Do it. Get yourself an Independence kit. Those things are nice this year. Capelli's good stuff. And thank you for watching. And thank you for doing it for the glove of the game.